Yeah, man, start all over. Went through day one of first phase again and watched a bunch of, 20, 30 guys quit again. And then started, got to Hell Week, made it through Hell Week. And then after Hell Week, I got performance role, two swims. So you have performance role is like an academic role. So they're not for a test, not like for a written test, but just for like you have timed evolutions, and then you have timed evolutions, and you have certain pass fail evolutions. Like so drown proofing is like a pass fail evolution. It's where you have your hands are tied behind your back, your feet are tied together, and you got to bob water for a certain amount of time. Then you got to swim a certain amount of feet. Then you got to
sounds easy.
Yeah, then you got to tread water all with your hands and feet tied together, right? And so that's a pass fail evolution. And you have the 50-meter underwater swim, which is a pass fail evolution. These are all evolutions that you have to pass at first phase, but then you have the time evolution. So you have a 4-mile time run every week in BUD/S, and the passing time in first phase is 32 minutes. You have a 2-mile time ocean swim in first phase. The passing time is 85 minutes. You have an O course, and the passing time I think in first phase is like 11 or 12 minutes, something like that. And so you had at the time I was in BUD/S, you had to pass at least one of those timed evolutions in each phase in order to graduate to the next phase. And I passed everything except for the swims. I failed all my swims because even though I had just learned how to swim, but I didn't really. I learned how to swim good enough to pass the screening test. I didn't learn how to swim good enough to do 2 miles in the ocean against current, right? Yeah. And so after I made it through Hell Week, instructor was like, "Yo, we're not even going to even let you class back up right now. We're going to just put you in brown shirt rollback land and work with you on." Which is like a whole program for guys who made it through Hell Week, and then work with you on your swims. And I was in that program for like 3 months or maybe 4 months. And then after the 4 months, I passed my first 2-mile time ocean swim. I made the time limit, and then class back up and with another class, and then got to super prideful. Got super prideful. I'm in like every class, I'm either one of 2 black dudes or like the only black dude in my class. So, I still got some of that street in me. I still got that, lack of affirmation complex in me, and so, that all played itself out in pride, kind of like what we discussed earlier, where I was just like, nobody can't tell me nothing. I made it through Africa. I made it through the Bronx.
Yep.
I'm one of the only black dudes in my class. I know how to swim. I'm in dive phase. I made it through Hell Week. You know what I mean? Like my head got so big, and like I just remember I would go partying, clubbing, and chasing girls, and like just like Kanye's West song was out, I want to say around that time. You can't tell me nothing. And that was like my theme song. That was and I was destructive. And when I got to dive phase, I failed the first 2 swims, ocean swims, because the swim times I dropped from 85 minutes to 80 minutes in dive phase, and instead of working on what I needed to work on the weekend, I was out partying. And then it got to a week of dive phase called Dive Week, where you got to do these different dive tests. You got to do a ditch and don, where you got to take off all your dive gear underwater in a specific procedure, swim up to the top, take a breath, swim back down, put all your dive gear on a specific procedure. Then you do that with a blacked out mask so you can't see. Then you do buddy gear exchange, where you got to take off your buddy's gear and put it on a specific procedure. And then he does the same thing, and then you do that in a blacked out mask. And then you have pool comp, and then you have this evolution called the tread, which is with 2080 dive tanks, weight belt, dive gear. You got to keep your hands above water and tread water for 5 minutes. It literally feels like, at least for me, it feels like you're going to drown. It's tough, dude.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. And you got all this weight on. Your hands can't touch the water. If they touch the water, you fail. And yeah, man. And so I failed that 4 times, because you get every day at the end of the day after you do your dive, whether it's ditch and don, buddy gear exchange, whatever, you get a chance to do the tread at the end of the day. And so each Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I failed the tread. And again, now it's all on me, because the instructors showed up the weekend before the tread, the 2 weekends before the tread, and then the weekend before the tread. They said, all right, guys, this is a tough one. Well, I'll be here to work with instructors. When they would work with us on the weekends, they would show up at like 8 in the morning, not just to work with guys on the tread, but also other dive tests as well. And I was too busy waking up at some girl's house at 10, 11 a.m., that...
Aren't you... You're only like 22, 23 right now, right?
I'm like, around 22, maybe 21. I was 21. I think I was 21. Let's see. No, I turned 20 in boot camp. turned 21 at the hospital. So yeah, I'm 21 because this is January 2004.
Yeah, you're so
I'm 21.
young.
Yeah,
Like that's the thing. Like I hear you being hard on yourself with it, but like I was a fucking idiot when I was 20. Like you're a Navy SEAL when you're 21. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess you get a little kick in the ass because you fail some things and you make it longer on yourself. But, you know.
Yeah, but you know, at the end of the day too, we all did. A lot of it was pride driven. You know, pride driven, and yeah, man. So went to academic review board, got kicked out of Buds. Got kicked out completely. Completely. Went to back to Camp Pendleton. This time I got stationed in 1st Marine Division with the grunts, and was humbling, but it was the humbling that I needed because I'm down at the bottom, bro. That grunt life is like legit. I remember we did a training exercise out in 29 Palms, which is like this hot desert out in California, and we finished our day. And they're like, all right, guys, it's time to start bedding down. It's like looking around. We in the middle of like a barren desert. Like, all right, we're going back to the barracks. No, freaking sleep on the rocks. So we just freaking got like a mat, and so I slept on a rock. And that was all humbling, bro. That was all like, dang, man. Like I put myself in this position, and long story short, ended up getting back to Buds a year and a half later, and yeah, made it through.
Toughened you up, for sure.
Yeah, humbled me for sure,
It happened
man.
how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, exactly how it's
know?
supposed to happen. Exactly how it's supposed to happen. And that's why I believe that everything in my life has happened exactly how it's supposed to happen.
Do you know, you may not know this, this is kind of way out there, so if you don't, no problem. But do you know the average age of someone who first starts in the Navy SEALs? Like who makes it?
I don't think, you know what? From what I recall, they've studied age groups, they've studied, you know, the backgrounds of participants who for years they've tried to figure out what is it that these guys have to make it through that other guys don't have, and they haven't been able to figure that out. They at one point they were like, oh, it's guys who come from like you know, water backgrounds, you know, whether it's water polo or swimming, or and then thought, oh, there's guys in their late 20s and this guy, but regardless, when they look at each person, it's all different. There's no pattern, because you can't tell what's in the person's heart. You can't tell what's in a person's heart. And, you know, I remember this, you know, you show up to training and it's these guys that are like super skinny, super small, and people will look at them like, that dude's not, and that person standing tall, like at the end, like made it through, versus a guy, there was a guy in my class, my first class, he was a triathlete. Everybody, all the Buds instructors knew him. They was like, yo, this guy's going to make it. He's like, this is when triathlons became a big thing, and like Buds instructors were doing triathlons to stay in shape. And so they all knew him. Everybody was like, he was going to win. He was going to make it. Dude quit. It's like, and then here I am. He quit.
It's just something.
Yeah. And then here I am, a dude that like never swam in the Bronx, and I'm still there. So it's like, you can't tell what's inside of a person's heart. Another crazy thing is you get guys who are like investment bankers or freaking lawyers or accountants. Like, it's the craziest thing. And they decided one day, you know what? I think I want to try that Navy SEAL thing. So you get guys like in their late 20s, you know, early 30s, who are like showing up, you know, enlisted, not going in as officers. They're like, oh, you know, I'm just enlisted to be a SEAL.
Try.
Yeah, I mean, there were guys in my class who, there was a guy in my class.
Bread.
There was a guy in my class who was a Rhodes Scholar. You know what I mean? You get a lot of guys from like Harvard, Yale, like Ivy League schools, very like guys from very affluent backgrounds who like show up. So it's very interesting, the type of people that get in, but also the type of guys, how they're not able to pinpoint the type of guy to get through.
I don't think, at least of what we publicly know about that's available, I mean, I'm sure there's some things in the government we don't, but I'm not sure of all the different guys I've talked with on and off camera who get into the highest level types of government programs like this. I don't think there's been anything else I've come across that has the combination of psychological, intelligence, physical, and courage.
Yeah.
Like in whatever pot that is right there all together to have to make it. So it's not like there could be a few other, there definitely are a few other things that actually do have more prestige than the Navy SEAL. There's not much, but there's a few other things where it actually, ironically, might be a little easier once they've identified like the ideal type candidate to try out.
Yeah.
It's easier for them to make it.
Yeah.
Because there's not, it's just a bizarre, you know, very heavy combo. But that's why, you know, the guys, there's a reason why guys like me gravitate towards listening to like what Navy SEALs have to say. Because there's a respect there for like, yo,
it's a bond,
not only did this dude like serve the country and go do crazy shit, but just to get there, get the right to do that. I mean, you had to accomplish a lot. Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.